Hello, welcome back to Plat Chat. It's only been a couple of days, hasn't it? Wow, nice to see you back again. We're joined by an illustrious guest. You thought it was Aaron Keller who was in charge of the entirety of Overwatch. Secretly, behind the scenes, Jon Spector controls everything. You think he's just involved in the league. No, he balances your game. He creates your maps. He does it all. He just works in the shadows.
It's like Varys from Game of Thrones, where he's just lurking in the shadows, just whispering in the ears of hero pools.
And then eventually burned by a dragon at some point.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, that would be a crazy turn of events.
Yeah, don't mess with Shanghai. Yeah.
No?
All right. Well, yes. Thank you for joining us. Jon is VP of Overwatch League, VP of Esports at Overwatch League, something like that, right? Is the title?
That's about right.
I'm gonna keep beefing it. He's essentially, you know how all of the teams have GMs? He's the GM of the Overwatch League. So we're gonna go through a bunch of the different decisions that were being made. Yeah, I mean that's pretty fair, right? That's essentially it. He makes all the big decisions.
Your first take was better, actually. Not your first take where I secretly run Overwatch from the shadows. Your second take.
Okay, we'll stick with that one then. But we wanted to kind of pick your brains, and it's a good time to do so, I think, because it's the end, or it's close to the end of the first quarter. So this year, the format was designed very differently to the previous years. Like last year, you had to pivot kind of right in the middle, away from a homestand model, then to online, and then you tried to incorporate tournaments, and it felt like each time it was just trying to find a system that worked at the last minute. Whereas this season, you had a whole off season to really figure out what the best possible model would be with it all being online. Are you happy with how it's actually worked out in practice so far?
Yeah, 3 weeks in now, we're feeling pretty good about it. Like I think the May Melee matches this week should be awesome. The ones we just had on Knockout Sunday were really good. I think the broadcast just generally has been a lot better this year now that we've had the time to sort of adjust to being in this remote production environment, get you guys on your green screens and all of that stuff. So I'm generally feeling really good about it.
Yeah,
I got my green screen up. Josh gets to go sit in Kurt's living room. Just take that over.
Yeah, I don't have the beautiful green to match with my pink like Jonathan does.
Oh yeah, I mean I got a small office, but I record different content, so I got 2 different green screens now.
Wait, why do you
incredible? Well, because when I do the power rankings, I can't stand, so I have to move the current camera I use now to like where my keyboard is, and I have to use this one. So I got 2 or 3 different office setups that I alternate between to maximize the production value of each individual piece of content.
Now. I'm gonna try to find some content that requires a 3rd green screen for you, where it's like you can't be standing, but you're also not sitting. It's like you're squatting, and we'll get you a 3rd green screen for that.
I think we could do that.
I've discussed with my girlfriend. I think we're just gonna paint this room green, and it's just be an entire green screen, like all 4 walls.
Bren actually, that was his plan in 2020 when he moved into his apartment. He was planning on painting the walls green and turning his entire studio apartment into a green screen. He never did because he was too lazy, but it was a good idea, I think.
Yeah,
the lighting would have been a problem.
He also did live with a bench press in his kitchen that year.
Oh yeah, that was 2019, wasn't it? Not 2020.
Yeah, it paid off. I wanted to backtrack a little bit because, you know, we're fortunate to have you here now to discuss a little bit before your next meeting. But I wanted to talk about what Josh mentioned, the broadcast. It's very different this year. Did you have any kind of approach to approaching Overwatch League this year? Changes you wanted to be made? Any kind of like special mantras or ideas you wanted to implement this year to make it different from last year? Because like the production is a bit different. Like, are there any elements that you're really proud of this year or integrations that you think are a good change from last year that are like really working out so far?
Yeah, I think some of it is just that our team had more time to figure all of this out now. And some of it is like we're in our 2nd year on YouTube and they've made just a whole bunch of improvements. So watching in 4K has been really cool.
Clips.
But for me, I think in the show, it's probably the player cams that have been the coolest thing. Like I missed that so much from from live events last year. And then even like when we first went remote, we couldn't even bring players on the show for post-match interviews. Like that's how far back we got set. And now it's like you're watching the super get shattered in real time, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the player cams have added so much more than even I guess I anticipated, in the sense that like just in this first May Melee, we've gotten so many crazy facial reactions with plays and to marry them together. I also feel like the show just has a way more fun tone to it, where it doesn't feel so serious and like, I think the meme of season 1, have to tune in because every map matters, but there were like 50 games, was like it kind of became so serious and like daunting, where I think now it's just feels way more free and fun, and I think it kind of goes more with like how Overwatch is as a game for a lot of people.
There's like I actually also underestimated the player cams, like the amount of memes that have already been created from player faces. Like there was a great one from Sunday's matches that I saw of, OG's reactions as he's decimating the opposition, and he's just got this like this pure joy. And like that stuff, I missed that so much from Blizzard Arena and the homestands last year. So bringing that back's been awesome. I think for the show, right? Like maybe two different things. One is like the competition's just better, to your point about like 40 matches versus 16. Like they all actually do matter a lot more, but also I think the teams are better than they've ever been. We also Matt, you've been a big part of this too, but going into this season, we were really clear with everyone, I think, who works on the show and all of our content folks and our social folks. Like, number one goal should be just have fun. Like, let's laugh. Let's participate in the memes more. We tried so hard for a really long time, I think, to be like serious sports, and it's very clearly not that. And I think starting with have fun, like if we're having fun, I think our fans will too, has really been a big difference.
I also after the first week, I was like, how the hell did we do last season without Danny Lim? I was like, how the hell how is it even possible? I was like the way he's talking to the players and stuff, I was like what did we do last year? I was like, I completely forgot. I was like just having him being able to open up, especially because he has such a good relationship with the Korean players, right? For him to be able to do a lot of those interviews and take a lot of that. We've gotten so many great moments. I know Gangnam Jin, obviously, have no idea who Sideshow was. This is one of the best moments of the May Melee. And then just
Jon
OG
DM'd me as soon as it happened,
roasting
by the way. By the way, because I wasn't working that day, I'm watching the VODs and I'm watching things back and I'm like pausing and stuff, so I'm behind real time. So I didn't even realize that this had happened. The first indication that I got was Jon sent me a DM saying, Gangnam Jin doesn't know who you are. That's just getting targeted BM from all directions. Just the disrespect was unbelievable. So then I had to tune in. I saw it and I was like, fair play. Unreal.
The best is his face when he says he has no idea who you are. He genuinely has, like, it wasn't even like a BM. Like, he has no clue who you are. Like, you could have been next to him at that moment. He would have had no idea who you were.
He has no idea. Not a clue.
We should have tried one of your aliases. We'd be like, oh, you don't know who Sideshow is, but how about the bald dude with no eyebrows? Like, at that point, he would, I got it.
It was something
Lord Voldemort.
Do you remember season 1? Mickey from the Doubts Fuel had no idea who any of us were. And I just remember Puckett in the makeup room once, like he just pointed at me and he goes, Mickey, who's that? And I had traveled the world and casted Mickey's games in different countries and whatnot. And he looks at me like he had seen a ghost. And he looks up on the makeup wall because they had the names of everybody who casted that day and what games and when they needed to be ready. And he just read my name off the sheet. He's like, oh, you're Mr.X. I was like, Mickey. I was like, you just looked off the sheet and read that. He's like, no. He's like, that's Puckett. And I was like, you're reading off of the sheet. You have no idea who we are.
One of the most fun things that the league has kind of put back in is the skins, that MMA skin that we just recorded an episode of Plat and we were discussing it as well. But I think something that the fans were really sad about at the beginning of the season was the fact that the MVP skins weren't going to be around. That was something that was announced. I can't remember whether that was the league that announced that or Team 4 or something, but there was some official capacity that said, okay, MVP skins are not going to be continued after this one. But it seems like this is not a cancellation of skins that are to do with the league. It's just pivoting in a different direction. Are the two even related? I mean, it just seems like this is a broader concept that is just applying to the tournament cycles and the rewards for viewers rather than being so specifically tied to players.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit the first time I saw the skin name for MMA, like I totally didn't get the pun. I thought it was MM for Mei Melee. I was like, are people really gonna get that joke? and then it got explained to me. I was like, oh my God, you guys are the smartest people that have ever existed. We've got like 3 different puns in one skin name. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that we wanted to do with the plan this year was really just like the 4 tournaments and then playoffs and finals, I think, are the times this season when I think we kind of most want to be appealing to more casual fans in particular and trying to get strong viewership numbers and all of that. And so like I've actually been really encouraged so far throughout the season, but my hope is that Mei Melee, for instance, that if you're tuning in this week, you have the chance to earn those Ana skins. Like those are things that we've sort of specifically set up this year with the goal of saying, hey, for each of those tournaments, like let's try to bring in more casual players of the game, have them watch the best matches of Overwatch League that we have to offer, and hopefully win them over as fans.
John, I'm going to say something that we just recorded an episode. And when we talked about the MMA skin, Josh said he felt bad that he was not able to watch enough to earn the Jonax skin. And we suggested he just buy Overwatch League tokens. Did you know he had no idea you can actually buy the tokens?
I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do that. I've never tried.
I mean, honestly, sort of happy either way. If fans want to watch Overwatch League and earn those skins, good for them. We appreciate their loyalty. And if people are either busy or Josh, then they can go into the store and try to buy their tokens too.
I resent that. I am both busy and Josh.
I'll have to defend my friend here because Josh is not our target audience, because from knowing him now for a few years, he doesn't care about skins and anything anywhere. So he doesn't understand the concept of skins and their value. So
I don't get attached to them personally. Like I don't feel the desire to get them, but I can appreciate when they've been incredibly well designed. And I feel like this one, like the Fleta one that was recently released, the Shock one that was like the flaming hog and stuff. Those were all sick, and this one as well is too. I like the idea of appealing to the broader aspect of it. Of these are some cool skins that people are going to want to get, and it will indicate and kind of register in their brain that there's a big tournament going on.
Yeah, it was something that I even saw in like the regular Overwatch Reddit, that people are like, "Hey, this skin is awesome." Where you're not just creating a skin that's great for the people who are just in the esport. It's a skin that's just great for anybody who plays or watches Overwatch. Like if you're a Mei player, regardless of whether you watch Overwatch League or not, you're like, holy shit, I need that skin. And then I think with how our format is, I mean, if you wanted the Mei skin and you tuned in this weekend and saw how crazy the games are, you're gonna want to tune in again, right? You make fans out of those people. So I think it's a really good way to get people into the league. And then also the fact that you don't have to tweet 1,000 times at us. We did the vote, so you can get the Ana skin as well. You are not debated.
People thought that this was a replacement for the Ana skin.
Please stop tweeting me about it. Yep. Please stop tweeting me about it.
I was talking to our marketing team last week. Like it honestly doesn't seem to matter like how many times we write in different places how all of this works. Like I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but it's increasingly clear to me that people just actually don't read. And so you can put in big bold letters like everywhere, like this is different than the Ana skin, and you'll still get the like, I thought we voted for Ana.
Yeah.
One guy kept tweeting me, and I was like, "Yo, man, you're gonna get the Ana skin as well. You're gonna get both." And he's like, "Well, why did I vote for Ana then?" I was like, "Well, you're gonna get the Ana skin." And he's like, "But I want a special one." I was like, "But it is like there's no like not every hero has this skin. This would be a special skin." I was like, "You're gonna get two." He wasn't having it though. He was not.
You couldn't persuade him. Couldn't get through to him.
I will say there's probably more Ana fans than there are Mei fans, but that's just speculation from my part. So I think people had a bit of a gut reaction where they expected the Ana, but then saw the Mei. That being said, though, love the Mei skin. Like, I'm a Reinhardt player, and I love this Mei skin. It's really good, and the pun included. I think it's phenomenal all the way. I do hope, the elitist in me does hope there's some way to commemorate the champions down the line. I mean, obviously an MVP skin is like an incredible endeavor, and I understand that, might not continue that, but, maybe a spray or like something. I don't know.
We'll bring them on Plat chat. That'll be a good replacement for the skin.
Oh,
I mean, that's like that. You win you guys just won the Mei Melee, and you know what? You can now go talk to all of our talent again.
Yeah, that sounds like a great reward. John, that's a good question though, that Jonathan raises though too. I mean, are there thought processes within the league as well to how to solve that challenge of the MVP skin was very good at being able to showcase a personality of a player as well as just commemorate their victory? Are there kind of plans for more of that player-driven kind of story stuff throughout the league as we go on? Obviously, it doesn't have to be skin-related, just other ways of tackling that same thing.
I mean, to your point, reinforce, like, there are other ways that we're trying to look at commemorating tournament winners in the game. Like the MMA skin, I think is generally awesome, but you're right. Like it's not like a Dallas Fuel skin. Hey, look, I just predicted the Fuel to win this weekend. It's not a Dallas skin or whatever else. And I think it would be cool to find ways to sort of celebrate whichever team is able to come out on top. So that's definitely something we've been working on too, and we'll probably have more to share about that with fans pretty soon.
Cool. Are there any other things that you can share with us about like the future plans for skins as well? Like, I don't think it's actually been confirmed that there's gonna be multiple iterations of these tournament skins. Has it? Did I just miss that announcement? But I think that was kind of implied.
No, I'm kidding.
I try to read whenever I see words in front of me.
This one has nothing to do with Josh's ability or inability to read. We have not confirmed future plans for skins this year. I think people generally look at what we've done in the past and use that to draw their own conclusions. Cool. This skin is clearly linked to the Mei Melee, and people can speculate what they'd like about what comes next.
Okay.
Cool. Sideshow skin.
I mean, hey,
if that's he beats Yaki, like maybe that feels worthy of commemorating the
exactly
skin winner.
And that gets us into our next topic fantastically. Thank you very much for that segue, because your boy's taking on Yaki. And John, I am going to destroy him. And I don't know what that says about the league, but I'm going to murder the young boy. I'm going to take him out there and I'm going to roll him around in the Pharah 1v1. And his mental is going to be shattered right before he plays the biggest tournament of his career. And they're going to lose. I'm sorry. I'm going to boom the Florida Mayhem.
So I know that you've already got a good amount of money on the line here. I wonder, I'll have to ask our legal team, like, are we allowed to make side bets on this? I would be willing to give decent odds on like getting 1 or 2 kills, or maybe even decent odds on like any direct rocket hits whatsoever. I think Yaki can actually try this time.
You have so little faith in me.
Who really does have the faith in you? Yeah,
he is incredibly good. He is ridiculously good.
Tiebreaker. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Can you imagine? We decided pick'ems via the Sideshow Yaki rocket duel. I mean,
I would, if it were possible to add that to the website right now, I would add a pick each of their 2 scores as a tiebreaker.
That would be very fun. Tell us
One
more though
person
about
out
the
there.
concept of this 1v1s and like why you guys are doing these, because normally they'd be reserved for some all-star weekend that's just somewhere around the playoffs, and that's when you would do all the fun shit. But that's not the case this year. It's a different format.
Probably is kind of the opening night of each of the 4 tournament weekends to try to do some fun special stuff and to pull like this tournament in part because we just like melee puns. Like we were like, oh, like it's melee, like let's do fight night and have different 1v1s or whatever else. Like I'm hopeful that the team will come up with jousting related competitions for the June Joust. Although
what kind of jousting related competitions are there?
Look, we've had some wild talks. We've had some wild.
Matt, have you figured this out yet? The problem, like, there was a meeting some number of months ago when we decided it was going to be the June Joust, and I was like, you know what? Like, if we're doing this, we have to full commit to it. It's only a good name if there's actual jousting, and we were like, oh, we could go to medieval times, or we could try to get players jousting, and I think all of those ideas have been rejected at this point, but we're still looking.
I think there's probably a health and safety
times.
risk with players jousting, isn't there? Like,
if they're out, they're out. I mean,
it's problematic. I wanted like you could get like foam lances and stuff like that. That felt like it could be workable. But
just get the talent to joust instead. It doesn't matter if they get a splinter in their eye, whatever. They can still work. As long as you don't cut the larynx, you're fine.
The amount of times that we've had chats about like these type of events, and I think I've had a thought, and I've just started off with, "This may sound stupid, but hear me out," and just
you should preface all your
just ridiculous
like
stuff. Yeah, I should just start all of my emails with like a little signature that says, "Hey guys, this may sound stupid," and then just go into the next of the paragraph. No, I mean, yeah, if you name something the June Joust, you have to do some kind of joust. I don't know what it is. Can we do a Risa jousting? Can we get horses for you and Bren to joust each other in the road? I don't know. We can figure something out though.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe we put out a call to all the workshop creators. Come up with the version of Overwatch jousting.
Are you?
We're definitely committed to the concept. Like there were a bunch of other J alliterations we had. I think there was like go with a June Jubilee. There were a whole bunch of non-jousting things, and at some point I was like, nope, we're doing jousting. People can make fun of me personally for that, and we will find a way to make it work.
There has to be a custom game mode where you can ride Orisas, right? So you could have one player control the movement and another one control the aim.
I love that.
Riding the Orisa.
Yeah,
if that exists, that feels like the answer here. So,
and if that doesn't exist,
go do some homework.
If that doesn't exist, someone needs to make it.
Have a role like Matt in the company. I should be giving all the ideas. Clearly,
you just said they should bench Violet in the last episode. I don't think you should be giving any ideas.
Context matters, Matt. Context matters.
Bench Violet?
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? It's unbelievable.
You're going to take the literal best Overwatch player that has ever been created. The guy is I think actually the most talented player in the world, and you're going to make the San Francisco Shock better by saying don't play him.
You're missing the critical context here.
It's the Ewing effect.
Matt is not representing his coworker and colleague as well as he should.
So I'd have to look into this more, but there seems to be a Orisa jousting mode where you could select from 3 champions to ride Orisa.
There you go.
Being Reinhardt, Torbjorn, or Brigitte.
Reinhardt?
And basically, you ride around. Yeah, basically you ride around and try and beat the crap out of each other until you knock the rider off of the horse via some certain amount of damage you do. And then as soon as you're off of your horse, you have very little HP and you can just get trampled, which seems like if this is a thing, has some legs.
Do they like move faster? Like if it's Reinhardt riding, they move slower than if it's Lucio. Like
what is that?
Is this like Mario Kart?
No, yeah, this is it. Yeah, Kurt's found a video of it, and that is riding Arisa in the third
This is it?
person. That looks insane. Is that a Dallas Fuel Arisa being ridden by a Reinhardt? Yeah.
That's pretty
Whoa.
phenomenal. That is truly ridiculous, but yeah, also hilarious. Is this what's the aim of the 1v1s though, John? Is it a celebration of just good players, or are you looking to have like serious grudge matches decided?
You're
If
involved.
some teams or players actually had some beef, would you send them in for an all-stars 1v1 and like hype it up like a serious, like a, you know, like the celebrity YouTube drama boxing match kind of thing? Is that something that you'd want to do as well?
Started from a place of like, let's have fun, but I mean, this is mostly just about doing cool stuff for fans. That's a
Yeah.
little bit different than the usual 6v6, like super sweaty, serious Overwatch. So if there's some fun grudge match or whatever, like I'm totally game for trying to find a way to do that too. But I think a lot of it starts from just let's go have some fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet. All right. The big thing on the horizon though is Hawaii. And I know that have you already packed your bags?
I won't move my camera. I've got like a total mess on my office floor now. That's like a half packed Hawaii bag. And I'm flying early tomorrow. So it's yeah, I've got some work to do tonight.
I mean, by the time this episode goes out, you will actually be in Hawaii, I think, rather than talking about it, because we're going to release this a little bit later. But can you run us through some of the setup for how that actually
or I'll
works?
be like stuck at the airport somewhere, or some other thing.
I mean,
but yeah, hopefully I'm in Hawaii.
You don't have to think too darkly. You're going on a short airplane flight. Let's not consider the worst case scenarios here. You're just going to make it safely.
Short flight. He's on the East Coast.
Yeah, I have
short
14
flight.
hours on airplanes tomorrow. It's going to be not very fun.
I forgot how big America was, actually. Yeah, that's not a short flight at all, is it? I keep thinking about you being positioned in Los Angeles, but that isn't that short. It's still like 4 hours or something. Can you run us through how the process works, though? Like, what do you do when you're there? How does the tech setup work? What's the practice environment like? What does it actually physically involve setting up an event like this in Hawaii?
Yeah, it's been a lot of work that I will take very little credit for. Like our events and IT and comp ops folks have been pretty much doing everything here. But we've had a couple of folks from the Blizzard side flew out Sunday or Monday. They're setting things up at the University of Hawaii on their Honolulu campus. So we've basically got access to two different competition rooms, and they've both got like a dugout next to them. We're setting those all up with computers, and the players will have access to them to practice before the match day. And then on each of Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they'll show up. They can, do their warm-up scrims before they play, and then they'll actually compete from the campus. Both the Mayhem and Fuel are flying out, I think, sort of, prepping to do so as we talk now. So they also should be there when this airs, if I haven't horribly jinxed them. But we've done a lot of work. Like flying into Hawaii is actually pretty complicated right now. You need a negative COVID test that you have to bring with you, and you have to register with the state before you travel to get like a QR code that they scan at the airport.
Right.
And there's like an app that you have to be tracking your health symptoms while you're there. So there's a whole bunch of pretty complicated logistics stuff. But ultimately, once the teams are there and settled in, they'll have these great spaces to compete from and get ready to go for Thursday.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. The other question I wanted to ask, based on the logistics as well, is how on earth do you manage to turn around? Like a team like the Florida Mayhem or the Dallas Fuel, I've only figured out that they're going yesterday. Like, as of recording this, we're recording on Monday. They only found out yesterday because they only played the bloody games yesterday. So how on earth do you get that kind of turnaround when there's, like, you have to have a negative? Does everybody that's participating in the knockouts already have to have already taken a test so that they can provide the negative so that they can go? Like, how far in advance does this have to all be planned out?
Yeah, I'm sure the other 10 teams in the West are thrilled with all the work that they had to do now that they don't get to go to Hawaii. But they had to pre-plan a lot of this stuff. So we've for a couple of weeks now had like all of the teams needed to have a travel plan that they had put together, and like these are the flights that we'll take, and this is the hotel that we'll stay at, and all of that. And some of the teams even like you can sort of hack the system a little bit if you book flights on a Friday, like the 24-hour cancellation window is open until Monday. So a lot of the teams like went and booked their flights on Friday, then saw if they qualified on Sunday, and then like we actually need those flights, or we're canceling them. And then they'd all already mapped out like where they were going to go get their COVID tests and places that had quick turnaround times. And so, I think a couple of teams actually had already gone and gotten tested technically before they qualified yesterday. Just you could see which teams were confident that they would prevail based on on how many of them had actually booked stuff. But then like last night, Sunday night, right after the Fuel Outlaws match, we had a call with both the Fuel and Mayhem staff to sort of once again walk through all of the logistics of travel and make sure that they were set to go and that everything was in good shape.
Yeah, pretty sick. How happy have you guys been so far with the systems that you've set up in place to facilitate these kind of interregional play as well? Like the ping, the like artificial ping system between the NA and the EU teams that's currently going on, the Hawaii system that's happening. Is it all progressing as you guys had planned out? It's hard to tell from our point of view, honestly.
None of these things are perfect, and you've still got the like occasional, hey, my ISP was not working well today type stuff that's going to happen. I mean, I've said to our team, like, even going into opening weekend, I was like, even if we execute everything perfectly, like there's going to be like a power outage somewhere or some other thing out of our control. So I think all the stuff that's been within our control in those systems has worked really well. Like I've been happy about that. I think feedback from players so far has been positive around it. It's not perfect, but I think like within our control, we've set up a system that levels the playing field as much as we can, and I think has been part of what's contributed to a good feeling about competitive integrity and fairness among the teams. That we're not saying, like, to give a pretty common example, and thankfully, they didn't like the teams were good sports about all of this last year. But if the Gladiators played Washington last season, like the Gladiators were at the 80 or 90 ping, and Washington was at whatever, the 30 or 40 based on where those servers were. And this year now it's fair.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been helpful for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some things that you can only get so close. Like there's no way to go to Europe and lower their pings. It's just like their ping's going to be what it is. But like John mentioned, like you get it as close as possible to each other and create the fairest matchup, right? Where you, especially with the situation you're in with online and COVID and everything, you just can't. I'm sure we would love to have the European players just like sit in New York or somewhere. Or, hey, everybody go to go to like Call of Duty. Everybody just sits there in Dallas. I know the team's based in LA. Everybody's in Dallas. Like but just for the global league, you just can't do that, right? So it's really the best option. It's actually crazy that the option's even available, thinking about
ridiculous.
How last year was. Yeah.
I feel like just even the concept of flying teams to Hawaii to play against teams in Asia is truly ludicrous and would have been laughed at if anybody else had proposed it at any prior time in esports. It was like, I mean, it's like when people are just like, well, just go to Iceland when you're trying to play between, just use a server in Iceland. That'll help playing between EU and NA. It's been, it geographically makes sense, but it doesn't actually work out like that in reality. I'm still amazed that we're doing it now. It's still ridiculous.
I mean, technically, it looks like go to Iceland might actually work pretty well for one of our competitors too. Like it's,
sure.
I think the innovation that we've seen from all of the different like tournament organizers and developers in trying to figure out how you run global events right now is generally just like pretty cool. I think we can all learn from each other. But Hawaii, like we feel pretty good about that plan, and not least because I'm excited to go to Hawaii myself. But like I think it works really well, but also it's I think it kind of in some ways only works for a game like Overwatch, where we also have the artificial latency system, and so we can make a Tokyo server fairer, even though Korea would connect to Tokyo faster than Hawaii does. And then also, I think Overwatch generally at that like 80 to 90 ping plays really well where some games don't.
Yeah,
So like,
absolutely.
I don't think this is a solution that anyone could have done, but yeah, we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit going forwards about what's going to be different for the June Joust? We know that there's going to be hero pools. Can you explain anything about like how that's going to be implemented, or anything new that's going to be happening that we haven't seen so far in the league yet?
The biggest stuff for June Joust is going to be just basically that during the break we kind of refresh all the competitive settings. So it's like we'll get a new patch for Owl.
Yeah.
We'll get a new map pool, so you'll start to see some of the maps that we now haven't in a long time. I'm excited to see Junkertown return personally.
Oh god damn. Bloody Junkertown.
I like that map.
It's very different.
I see Johnny's face over there, but I think that'll be fun to start to see some of the other maps come back. And then, yeah, we're also going to be implementing the first hero pool of the season. We're planning to do that drawing shortly after Hawaii, although we're actually for kind of all of these competition details, like what maps you play in each match and the hero pool, we're deliberately like not going to tell the teams for a couple of days after Hawaii, because hopefully that encourages them to give everyone a rest and a break. Like, it doesn't make sense to be scrimmaging hardcore if you don't know what maps you're playing and you don't know what hero bans are or things like that. So
break,
we're going to wait a couple of days
vacation.
and hopefully that gets a break.
Yeah. That's a very interesting idea, because of course we've tried breaks like that in the Overwatch League before, and people just scrimmed through them anyway to try and get an advantage.
It also just wouldn't be fair for the teams coming back from Hawaii, that if these teams had extra days to practice, prep, whatnot. And I also think it's also like with the way that the stage is gone and how diverse the meta is, I think it's easy to say, well, not do hero pools, but you have a new balance patch and a new set of maps. So you easily could find yourself in a situation where you do have one meta that kind of holds dominant on this map set and patch coming in, to where we've all seen in the past. I don't think you can really bank on teams playing the same Overwatch, a different Overwatch for 8 straight to 10 straight weeks. We all know how it kind of goes down. So hopefully with a new map pool and hero pools for a whole tournament, it changes everything, keeps things fresh.
Yeah, people are gonna insta-lock Diva to get that cold mech damage in. That's gonna come in handy the next patch. We're looking forward to that. It would be really funny if we actually saw some cold mech kills.
Some version of like the first time that happens. Like honestly, I want to like pause the match or like replay it, and I'm so excited for that to happen.
The player cam will be great for that one.
Oh yeah.
I've been trying my ranked games, and it's sort of like at my not very good level I've actually had a pretty good amount of success like sneaking around as baby diva, and you get behind someone and call neck. But yeah, I mean, I think like the meta point, right? Like it's really easy. I think where we're sitting right now, where we're like, hey, we just had incredible matches. The Fuel played kind of whatever they wanted and stomped with it. And to say like, oh, you don't need hero pools is, I think, a pretty easy reaction. I guess part of my take is we have 3 years and change of experience that suggests that like it does not matter what the balance patch is. It doesn't matter if the game is quote perfectly balanced. Like at some point the Owl teams are going to break it because it's just what they do. And so my instinct is really like, yeah, it feels like we're in a great spot in terms of meta diversity for OWL now. But my personal belief is that if you gave them another 2 or 3 weeks on the same balance, you're going to get to a stale meta at some point, and you'll start to have the opposite. Everyone saying, "Oh, we're so sick of watching whatever it is," because it also like it doesn't really matter what the meta is. At some point, if you've watched enough matches in a row, people want to see something different.
Sure.
Yeah. So to clarify, the entirety of June Joust is just going to be one large hero pool, not like weekly, change it up all the time. So it's going to be one large one, and that's what we do for the entirety of June Joust, including the playoffs after the knockouts for June Joust, and then going into a Summer Showdown, we just reset back to patches, no hero pool.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, like honestly, the specifics of hero pools are, I think, the thing that we debated the most this offseason. Like, we had every other detail done like weeks before, and it had just so many like which of these 5 different hero pool systems is the best. And we had the one last year where it was like you do the first 2 weeks on a hero pool, and then the tournament week isn't a hero pool. And the intention here was that it gives you sort of 4 weeks for teams to figure out, like the first week after New Balance and a hero pool, I think is kind of always just like chaos. And then you start to see a couple of, oh, we think it's like this composition or this composition in the second week. And then the third week, the teams usually have figured out what it is that they want to play, and they start mirror matching each other. And then in this scenario, the fourth week is like the pinnacle of competition with whatever that meta is, where you see in the tournament, like who's the best at this, who's figured it out, and you get to watch really high level play, and then we reset it again. So that's the intention. I don't think it's going to play out perfectly like that every time, but we also wanted to be cognizant of just the more time that you keep a patch the same and a hero pool the same. On the one hand, you start to risk things feeling stale, but I don't think that's a real problem on a 4-week basis. And then on the other, you really do give teams and players a chance to figure out what it is that they want to do, what strategies they want to run, and hopefully see really good Overwatch.
One final question before we let you go as well. I really want to get your thoughts and a little bit of extra information on what the heck is going on with the live matches that are going to be going on in China as well, because that is an extremely exciting new chapter in terms of what's going on in the Overwatch League this season. It seems like that's the part of the world that started to open up the first, and so it's become available. And we heard, actually, I mean, the Valiant were talking about it way back, even before it was announced. They were talking about one part of the reason why they made that move is because they were looking to take advantage of this kind of thing. What excites you about what's coming up, and can you give some more details about what's happening for the people watching?
Yeah, so we have 3 events officially planned in China for the rest of the season. We tried to do all 3 in like the 3rd week of the tournament cycle, which I'll come back to in a second. I think 2 of them are because there were some scheduling challenges, but what that does is it means that the regional knockouts that we just played, like those will happen in Asia with a live audience for 2 of the next 3 tournaments, which should be pretty cool, in addition to those final qualifier matches just before it. So it's a couple of days of a big live event in China, and like I'm psyched about it. I think one of the silver linings about 2020 was that we had 5 of the live events that were awesome in North America, but there were none in Asia. So there's never been an Overwatch League homestand in China, and these will be the first 3 of them. Like the fans there are awesome. They love these teams. They've been so supportive of the league, and I think now being able to bring them these live events in partnership with Hangzhou, Shanghai, and Guangzhou just should be really cool. So there's still a ton of planning work going on. I think the teams will announce their venues and put tickets on sale soon. They're also doing a ton of the like COVID safety planning. I think there will be some social distancing stuff in effect. Like they have a whole bunch of local guidelines to follow. And probably the weirdest thing about it will be traveling from Korea to China right now is really hard. Like you have 2 weeks of mandatory quarantine when you land in China, and then 2 weeks of mandatory quarantine when you go back to Korea.
Oof,
so we didn't really want to force like the Philadelphia Fusion, as an example, to spend four weeks in quarantine to play one set of live matches 3 times in the year. So the thing that we're trying to do is, like, if 2 of the Chinese teams are playing each other at the live event, you'll have them both up on stage and it'll look normal. But if like Hangzhou is playing the Fusion in that weekend, then you'll see like the Hangzhou Spark up on stage, and the Philadelphia Fusion will have like they'll be playing from Seoul online against them, and you'll still see all the gameplay if you're a fan in Hangzhou, like up on the big screen. But only your hometown team's going to be on the stage. So that'll be a little bit weird, but we thought that was kind of the better solution than 4
Yeah.
weeks of quarantine every time you want to do that.
Is
would
there
be
any
brutal.
information on how many people are going to be at the events? Did I miss that? Because when I know when we had a watch party for Guangzhou, they packed out an entire bloody mall. It was like multi tiers of people just for a watch party. Like there seems to be a huge amount of fans that are activated to actually turn up to events.
Yeah, I mean, the trick here is that the teams are going to have to artificially limit capacity at,
Right.
whatever it is, 25 or
safety.
50% of the venue instead of selling every ticket. But I think even with that, we are talking about thousands of fans at these events. Or I might be misspeaking based on all the venues, but I think every single one of them will have more than 1,000 fans
Right.
in attendance, even with the reduced capacity stuff. So it should be really cool.
That is cool.
And I think, yeah, to your point, like they're packing malls for watch parties. So
Yeah.
I think these tickets go on sale and probably sell out within seconds.
That'll be awesome to
absolutely
see.
wild.
Yeah.
Because we've only seen the pictures of those watch parties and stuff. And yeah, like you mentioned, we didn't actually have any homestands in Asia before COVID. So this will be their first go at it. Oh, it'll be nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know that we've kept you a little longer than we intended. So thank you very much, John, for
Thank you, John.
hopping on the show
Thanks for
and for
having me,
giving
guys.
us your very precious time.
I'm going to go finish packing for Hawaii and hopefully hopefully the matches are awesome this weekend. I'm excited about it.
Don't pack too many
Take a
bathing
snorkel.
suits. Just
Take a snorkel and a couple of flippers because Matt can hook you up to swim with some sharks. Matt's been really pushing for other people to swim with sharks.
We're going to book it together. We'll all go swim with the sharks together. Yeah, probably more dangerous than jousting. So if we're not allowed to do jousting, I think swim with the sharks is probably off limits too.
Yeah, a Shanghai fan tweeted Swing Chip and said there is a spot to swim with sharks, and then she was like, "Are you a Shanghai fan?" and then he's like, "Check my Twitter banner," and he's got like the Shanghai dragon stuff all over it. So yeah, there's some. Watch out, John. Don't go swimming with the sharks. You never know.
I don't think anyone has it specifically out for me, but I'm sure someone's mad about the Ana skin. So
yeah, the Ana skin people send you to swim with the sharks.
Yeah, double check everywhere you go. All right, thank you very much for coming on the show as well. And we'll have another episode of Plat Chat coming at you on Monday. Bye.